Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Huck, and today we're doing a book haul. So these are all of the books that I got in January and February, and I have 14 books to go through, so I'm going to try and be pretty brief with my descriptions of them, but let's just get started. The first book that I have is Beneath the Sugar Sky by Seanan McGuire. This is the third book in her Wayward Children series. It was actually supposed to be the final book in the series as well, but I believe they recently announced that there is going to be another book after this one and they're going to be continuing the series. This series follows a home for children who have traveled to a magical world and are now back in our world, but are still searching for a door back to their magical land. Each one of them, the world that they have traveled to is a world that is perfect for them. So they all want to be able to get back to that world. This book takes place after Every Heart a Doorway, which is the first book. This is more of an adventure story than the other two before it. And this is one actually that I also have already read, so this will be coming up in my February wrap-up video. Next up, I have Binti, the Night Masquerade by Nydia Okorafor. This is one that I was highly anticipating because the first two books in this series, Binti and Binti Home, were some of my favorite books that I read last year. So this is the third and final book in the trilogy of novellas. This follows Binti, who is a harmonizer, meaning that she is able to create harmony between people and other aliens, I suppose, because this is a science fiction story. In this, Binti has traveled to an off-world university and now has come back home to Earth. This takes place in a futuristic Namibia, and she is caught in the middle of two warring alien races, and the story takes off from there. This is another one that I have already read and will be in my February wrap-up as well. The next two books that I have are both about meditation, because at the end of January I went to a meditation retreat and I picked up some books while I was there. The first one that I have is Invitation to Meditation by Howard Cohn, who is one of the teachers at the retreat that I went to. This one is just kind of a nice little introduction to meditation. It explains how to get started in meditation and why you would meditate. I mostly picked it up because it has a very pretty cover and because I liked him as a teacher and wanted to support him, so I wanted to buy his book. The other book about meditation that I picked up was Awake in the Wild by Mark Coleman. This is another teacher that was at the retreat that I went to. I have not finished reading this book. I'm about this far into it, but I have been really enjoying it. I just kind of forget to read it because it's not a story, so it doesn't like hook me on a story, but it's all about meditation in nature and different ways to practice mindfulness and meditation in nature and how to connect to nature and how to really appreciate it through a mindfulness practice. And it's very enjoyable to read. I really love the way he describes nature in it, so I have been really enjoying this one. Next, I picked up a book called Botanical Linedrawing. So this is one that is just a little step-by-step tutorial kind of book about how to draw different kinds of plants with line drawing. I am not especially good at drawing, but I always like to draw, so I wanted to get this to help me learn how to do some cute little botanical drawings, especially because I have a bullet journal that I like to put little drawings and doodles in, and I really love plant doodles, so I thought this one could help me out with that. I also got The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This is a new release that I think just came out in January? Maybe it came out in February. I'm not exactly sure, but it just came out. This one follows a girl named Alice and her mother as they are on the run because bad luck seems to always follow them. She also has a grandmother who is an author with a cult following. She wrote a book about a fantasy world with fairy tales in it. But in this book, the grandmother dies and they learn that the fantasy world may not be as fantasy as they thought. This book I was highly anticipating and I have already read it. It will be in my February wrap-up, but I also have a full review that I will link down below. Just spoiler alert, I did not like this book and I would not recommend it. Then I also had a book that I pre-ordered, which is Tempest and Slaughter by Tamara Pierce. This is a new series that she is starting in the world of Tortola, which is where many of her books have taken place. I love Tamara Pierce. She is one of my favorite authors, and she was like a big piece of my childhood, so I was very excited that she was publishing a new book because it's been quite a while since she did. And this series follows Numair, who is a character that shows up in many of the other series as well. He is a very powerful mage, and this is his backstory. In all of the other books, we see him as an adult and as this incredibly powerful mage, but this is him when he is at school, I think in Carthag, and it is the backstory of his life and also how he got kicked out of school, I think. So I'm really excited because he was always a character that I really liked, and I'm really excited to get back into this world. Also, I noticed after I got it that it says it's a collector's edition, so apparently there should be, yep, there's a poster inside, and it says, "Without reading, we are all without light in the dark, without fire in the cold." I like that. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with that poster, but that's cool. I didn't know I was getting a collector's edition. Because I was so excited about getting Tempest and Slaughter by Tamara Pierce, I also got Tortola, a Spies Guide, which I was very excited about, but also like, why do I need this? It's a book of letters that George has. So George is from the Alana series, and then he shows up in other ones, but he's mainly shows up in the Alana series. And he is a spy for, or does he run the Spies? I don't remember. I haven't read her books in a long time. But these are letters that he had about the goings-on in Tortola. So I am interested to read this. I wasn't quite sure. I was like, maybe I just got a little over-enthusiastic and got this one. But I'm still, you know, I'm glad to have it. And then I have a few books that I got because I went into a Barnes & Noble to get one book and I couldn't find it, but as I walked around looking for it, of course, I picked up more books along the way. So the book that I was actually going in to get, which I did find eventually, is Silence Fallen by Patricia Briggs. So this is, I think, the 10th book in her Mercy Thompson series, and I really like this series. It's not necessarily the best quality book series ever, but I do really enjoy it. I've been following it for years, and obviously this is the 10th book. I have been following this for a while. And this is the only urban fantasy series that I follow. But this book is about Mercy Thompson, who is able to shapeshift into a coyote. She lives next door to a werewolf pack, and they have many run-ins with the Fae. And the Fae are not very nice in this series, which is part of why I like it, because it has that kind of dark, creepy, manipulative type of Fae. And so she and the werewolf pack tend to work together to protect humans from the Fae. But while I was searching for that book, I picked up some others along the way, including A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. This is one that I actually have zero idea what it's about. I just know that I have seen a lot of people talk about it. People say that it is incredible and that it is incredibly sad. So, you know, I have to kind of read it when I am prepared to read something that's super sad, but I do think that it will be interesting. I really don't know what it's about at all, but I do know that it has all these like amazing drawings that are both really cool and also kind of creepy looking. So I'm interested to see this one. Then I also got The Thief by Megan Wallen Turner. This is one that I have been looking at on the shelves for a very long time, but I never quite got around to buying it. And then just recently, I think Reagan at Peruse Project read this whole series and raved about it. So then I was like, maybe I should actually get it since I've kind of been looking at it for a while. And I finally saw it in paperback because I keep seeing it in hardcover and I don't want the hardcover. Anyways, I finally found it in a paperback and I picked it up. It's actually a lot shorter than I thought it would be. This story is about Jen, who is a thief and says that he can steal anything, but that may get him in over his head. It says that it has a lot of political intrigue and it has thieves in it, obviously, so I think that sounds like it'll be fun. I like stories with thieves, so I'm looking forward to this one. Then I also grabbed Flux by Orion Carlotto. Orion is actually a YouTuber, I think, and I don't watch her channel, but I did know that she had published a book, so when I saw it in the bookstore, I wanted to just see what it was, and I was flipping through it and read a couple poems here and there, and I actually really enjoyed it. These are, I think, kind of like love poems, and a lot of them I think are sad, but they're pretty short for most of them, and a lot of times that's not really my thing. I have discovered that short, sad love poems are not really for me, but I liked what I read from this, so I wanted to read more, and I thought, why not support a YouTuber who is publishing a book? So I got this one as well. Then I also picked up His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik. This is one that I have really gone back and forth about as to whether I wanted to buy it or not. I read Uprooted by Naomi Novik and I really loved it and I wanted to read more from her, but I think this is like the only other series that she's written and it just didn't really sound interesting to me. This is about the Napoleonic War, but if it had dragons. So Napoleonic War plus dragons. That sounds very weird to me. It sounds kind of like a ridiculous premise, and also I'm not a big fan of like history, like historical things most of the time, especially not like Napoleonic War historical time. That just didn't sound interesting to me. But I've recently been seeing a lot of people talking about this and how much they love it, how much they love the dragons in this, and like I love dragons, so I'm excited for a dragon book. But they said that the dragons are great and that the relationship between the dragon and the people, the dragons and the people, are adorable, and that the dragons are kind of like dogs. And I'm like, I love dragons, I love dogs, I love cute relationships with animal companions. Like, I'll give it a try. So I got this one. I hope it's good. And finally, I got A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. So this is the first book in her Shades of Magic trilogy. I think that's what the trilogy is called. And all I really know about this one is that there are 4 Londons. There is Red London, Black London, White London, and Grey London. Some of them have magic, some of them don't. And only certain people are able to travel between the different Londons. And the character that we follow in this book, who I think is named Kel, is able to travel between these Londons, and he is a smuggler. That's about as much as I know about this story, and I know that a lot of people really love it. Although I think of V.E. Schwab's books, this is one that tends to have more mixed reviews, that some people really love it and some people don't like it at all. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I read Vicious in January, which was the first V.E. Schwab book that I had read, and I loved it. So I really want to read more stuff by her, and I saw this one and decided to pick it up. So that is all for my January-February book haul. I am trying to figure out which books I need to prioritize. I think that Tempest and Slaughter, Silence Fallen, and A Darker Shade of Magic are the ones that are like top on my list of books to read. Let me know which ones you think I should prioritize in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, bye!